Marcus wasn't your typical Roman general. While his prowess on the battlefield was undeniable, his true passion lay in the quiet moments spent amidst his Stoic garden. Here, amongst the rustling olive trees and fragrant lavender, he'd receive visitors seeking not just military advice, but wisdom for life. One scorching afternoon, a young soldier named Caius found himself kneeling before Marcus. Unlike the usual bravado of his peers, Caius wore a mask of worrying. "General," he began, his voice strained, "I feel lost. Every campaign feels like sand slipping through my fingers. Glory seems hollow, and the weight of command is crushing." Marcus, with his weathered face and eyes that held the wisdom of countless battles, offered a gentle smile. "Caius," he said, "your struggle is not uncommon. We all carry burdens, both physical and mental. But victory doesn't lie solely in conquest, it lies in mastering ourselves." He gestured towards a nearby stone, inviting Caius to sit. "Tell me, young soldier, what burdens your heart?" Caius poured out his anxieties, the constant fear of failure, the envy of his more decorated comrades, the nagging feeling that his life lacked meaning. As he spoke, Marcus listened intently, his gaze fixed on a hummingbird flitting amongst the flowers. Finally, when Caius finished, a long silence fell. Then Marcus spoke, his voice a soothing rumble. "Caius, there are things we can control," he said, plucking a single lavender sprig, "and things we cannot." He held the fragrant flower in front of Caius. "This delicate bloom cannot command the wind, but it can choose how it responds." He pointed towards Caius' chest. "The anxieties and envy you harbor are like harsh winds. You cannot stop them from blowing, but you can choose not to be bent by them. Eliminate these burdens that weaken you." Finally, when Caius finished, a long silence fell. Then Marcus spoke, his voice a soothing rumble. "Caius, there are things we can control," he said, plucking a single lavender sprig, "and things we cannot." He held the fragrant flower in front of Caius. "This delicate bloom cannot command the wind, but it can choose how it responds." He pointed towards Caius' chest. "The anxieties and envy you harbor are like harsh winds. You cannot stop them from blowing, but you can choose not to be bent by them. Eliminate these burdens that weaken you." Marcus proceeded to outline his philosophy. He explained the importance of focusing on the present moment, on the actions one could control, rather than fretting over the past or yearning for the future. He spoke of the dangers of comparing oneself to others, a pursuit that would only breed dissatisfaction. He emphasized the importance of virtue, courage, temperance, justice, and wisdom as the true path to a fulfilling life. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Caius rose, a different man. The whirring lines remained, yet they were etched above a newfound resolve. He thanked Marcus, feeling a lightness he hadn't known in years. He left the garden, not with grand pronouncements, but with a subtle shift in perspective, a toolbox of Stoic principles to navigate the storms of life. He might not control the winds of war, but he knew he could control his own sail. Ever feel like life's gotten a little too loud? Does the constant barrage of information, the pressure to keep up, and the gnawing anxieties leave you yearning for some inner peace? You're not alone. Even Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who lived through plagues, political turmoil, and constant warfare, grappled with similar struggles. But amidst the chaos, he found solace in a philosophy called Stoicism, a philosophy that's not just for toga-clad emperors, but for anyone seeking a more fulfilling and less stressful life. In this video, we'll embark on a journey inspired by Stoic wisdom, exploring ways to quietly eliminate the things that hold us back. Imagine a life where you don't get swept away by every passing negativity, where you can step back from the frantic rush and find clarity. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what truly matters, the present moment, the values we hold dear, and the things we actually have control over. We'll discover practical tools to gently yet firmly remove the anxieties, frustrations, and unproductive habits that clutter our minds and steal our peace. It's not about grand gestures or dramatic life changes, but about subtle shifts in perspective and everyday practices that can have a profound impact. Whether it's the constant feeling of needing to keep up with everyone else, the relentless pursuit of external validation fueled by social media, or the corrosive grip of negative emotions like anger or resentment, Stoicism offers a path towards freedom. By identifying and eliminating these inner and outer obstacles, we can cultivate a sense of inner strength, resilience, and tranquility. So, join us on this journey of self-discovery. Let's learn via Stoic stories to quietly eliminate the things that prevent us from living our best lives and rediscover the peace and purpose that lie within. 1. Dwelling on the past or fearing the future. Rain lashed against the worn leather tent, a relentless drumming that mirrored the relentless unease in Casas' gut. A seasoned centurion, he'd stared death in the face countless times, yet tonight, a different kind of fear gnawed at him. Tomorrow, their legion would face a barbarian horde, a battle rumored to be one of epic proportions. Sleep, usually a welcome visitor, eluded him. His mind kept replaying past losses, the ghosts of fallen comrades, whispering doubts. Images of a future where he, too, lay cold, unforgotten flickered in his mind, chilling him more than the icy rain. Casas wasn't alone in his turmoil. The flickering firelight illuminated other restless faces, etched with whirring lines that deepened with every passing moment. It was then that Aurelius, their stoic commander, emerged from his own tent. Unlike the others, his stride held a steady calmness, his gaze clear and focused. He approached the fire, his weathered face aglow in the warm light. "The rain worries you not, Commander?" A young soldier, barely past his boyhood, asked hesitantly. Aurelius chuckled, a dry but comforting sound. "The rain is what it is, young Marcus," he replied, using the soldier's name. "It falls whether we fret or not. Our concern lies not with the storm we cannot control, but with the fire we can tend." He gestured to the crackling flames. "This moment, this warmth against the chill, this is what we can influence." Casas watched, a spark of understanding flickering in his eyes. Aurelius continued, his voice a steady current cutting through the tension-filled air. "Dwelling on past battles, victories or defeats, serves no purpose now. Fear of the unknown future only paralyzes us. It is this present moment where our strength lies. In the decisions we make, the courage we muster, the bonds we share with our brothers in arms." The rain continued its relentless assault, but a different kind of warmth began to spread through the camp. Soldiers straightened their backs, weary eyes finding a new focus. They began sharing stories, jokes, even songs, the camaraderie a shield against the storm both outside and within. Casas felt the fear lessen, replaced by a quiet resolve. He wouldn't let the ghosts of the past or the phantoms of the future dictate his present. He would focus on the task at hand, on the strength of his comrades, and on the flickering flame of hope that burned within him. The battle might be uncertain, but his own courage, that he could control. As dawn broke, casting a pale light on the rain-soaked battlefield. Casas felt a new-found clarity. The fear hadn't completely vanished, but it was overshadowed by a sense of purpose. He glanced around at his fellow soldiers, their faces etched with determination, a reflection of his own. They marched forward, not with bravado, but with a quiet confidence, a testament to the Stoic wisdom that had guided them through the night. The battle raged, a chaotic dance of steel on steel, screams drowned by the clash of weapons. Yet, amidst the carnage, Casas held firm. He focused on each parry, each thrust, his movements fueled not by fear, but by the strength of the present moment. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the battlefield in hues of red and orange, the fighting ceased. Exhausted but victorious, the legion stood amidst the fallen. Casas surveyed the scene, a pang of grief clenching his heart at the sight of his fallen comrades. Yet, there was also a sense of acceptance. He had faced death, stared it down, and emerged on the other side. He knelt beside a young soldier, his face forever frozen in a mask of terror. A wave of sadness washed over him, a reminder of the fragility of life. He closed the soldier's eyes, a silent vow forming in his heart. He would honor their sacrifice by living each day to the fullest, by cherishing the present moment, the only gift they could no longer claim. 2. Negative emotions. Frustration gnawed Gaius like a persistent wolf. Another promotion passed him by, awarded instead to a flashy young tribune whose charms seemed to outweigh his experience. Gaius clenched his fists, the injustice of it all burning in his gut. Images of the celebratory feast, the smug smile on the tribune's face, filled his mind, fueling a simmering resentment that threatened to consume him. Sleep offered no escape. Dreams replayed the scene in a relentless loop, each repetition stoking the fire of his anger. The following morning, the camp bustled with preparations for the upcoming campaign. Yet, Gaius moved through the motions like a ghost, his usual enthusiasm dampened by the bitterness that clung to him. His sharp words snapped at his subordinates, a harsh edge replacing his usual easy camaraderie. Even the camaraderie of his fellow soldiers, their shared anticipation of the coming battle, failed to pierce the fog of negativity that clouded his mind. One evening, as Gaius sat alone by the flickering fire, lost in his brooding, a familiar figure approached. Aurelius, their Stoic commander, settled beside him, his gaze kind yet firm. "What troubles you, Gaius?" he asked gently. Gaius hesitated, then poured out his frustrations, the unfairness of the promotion, the gnawing envy that poisoned his spirit. As he spoke, a sense of shame washed over him. Here they were, on the cusp of battle, a time for unity and focus, and he was consumed by petty jealousies. Aurelius listened patiently, his weathered face betraying no judgment. When Gaius finished, he spoke in a measured tone. "Emotions, Gaius, are a natural part of the human experience. We are not machines, devoid of feeling. But dwelling on them, especially negative ones like anger and resentment, is akin to drinking poison and expecting the other person to die." He gestured towards the flames. "These emotions are like the smoke from the fire. They may cloud your vision for a time, but they are ultimately fleeting. True strength lies not in denying them, but in acknowledging them and choosing how you will respond." Aurelius' words struck a chord within Gaius. He realized the hold his anger had taken, how it had twisted his perception and poisoned his interactions. He needed to let go, to clear the smoke and regain his focus. The following days saw a change in Gaius. He acknowledged his emotions, the sting of rejection, the envy that had festered within him. But he refused to let them define him. He focused on the task at hand, on leading his men with courage and compassion. The bitterness slowly receded, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose. He might not have received the promotion, but he could choose how he reacted, how he lived the present moment. And in that choice, he found a strength far greater than any external validation. The desert wind whipped around Serena, carrying with it the scent of sand and a gnawing emptiness. She squinted at the shimmering mirage in the distance, a shimmering promise of a majestic palace filled with untold riches. It was a recurring dream, a vision that had haunted her for years, a life of luxury, of power, a life unlike the harsh reality of her caravan trader existence. Serena craved this life beyond reason, the endless journeys, the constant struggle for survival, the ever-present threat of sandstorms and bandits. It all paled in comparison to the imagined opulence of the mirage. The desire for wealth and status became an all-consuming obsession, fueling her discontent with her present life. It colored every interaction, every decision. She became envious of passing merchants adorned with expensive jewelry, her heart burning with a longing for a life seemingly just out of reach. One evening, as the caravan huddled around the crackling fire, an old storyteller named Elias approached Serena. His weathered face held a wisdom honed by years on the road, and his eyes seemed to see right through her facade. He sat beside her, the silence between them heavy with unspoken understanding. 3. External desires. The desert wind whispers many desires, child. Elias finally spoke, his voice a low rumble. But true happiness cannot be found chasing mirages. Serena scoffed. Easier said than done, she retorted. Wouldn't a life of ease and comfort be preferable to this constant struggle? Elias chuckled, a dry but knowing sound. The true treasures, he said, lie not in what you possess, but in who you are. A life defined by external desires is a life forever chasing shadows. It will never bring lasting satisfaction. His words struck a chord within Serena. She looked around at her fellow travelers, their faces etched with hardship, radiating a quiet camaraderie. They had little in terms of material possessions, yet they possessed a wealth of shared experiences, resilience, and a deep connection to each other. In that moment, Serena realized that she had been chasing an illusion, mistaking external validation for true fulfillment. The journey onwards was still arduous, the desert sun still unforgiving, but a shift had occurred within Serena. She began to appreciate the simple things, the taste of cool water after a long journey, the warmth of the shared fire, the camaraderie of her companions. She focused on developing her own skills, on the satisfaction of a job well done. The mirage in the distance no longer held its allure. Years later, Serena, a seasoned leader of her own caravan, stood atop a sand dune, surveying the vast expanse before her. The desert wind still whispered, but it no longer carried the taunting promises of fleeting desires. Instead, it brought a sense of peace, an acceptance of the present moment, and the quiet satisfaction of a life lived with virtue and a focus on what truly mattered. The mirage had vanished, replaced by the unwavering strength and inner peace she had discovered within herself. 4. Seeking external approval. The wind howled like a banshee through the craggy peaks, whipping at Marcus's cloak as he surveyed the ravaged vineyard below. A late frost, a cruel twist of fate, had decimated his harvest, leaving behind rows of brittle, lifeless vines. Despair, a viper he knew all too well, coiled around his heart. He'd poured his lifeblood, into this land, toiled under the relentless sun, all for the dream of a bountiful harvest and a secure future. Now, that dream lay shattered amongst the withered leaves. But Marcus was a man steeped in the wisdom of the Stoics. He understood the fickle nature of the external world. The weather, fate, the whims of the market were things beyond his control. What he could control was his reaction. With a deep, measured breath, he banished the viper of despair. Grief for the lost harvest was natural, but dwelling on it would yield no fruit. Instead, he focused on the things he could do, assess the damage, salvage what he could, and begin planning for the next season. News of the devastation spread through the village like wildfire. Faces twisted in sympathy as villagers passed Marcus on the dusty path. He met their gazes with a steady eye, a flicker of sadness perhaps, but no self-pity. He wouldn't play the role of the broken man, seeking their solace or pity. He carried himself with the quiet dignity of a man who had faced hardship before and emerged stronger. Later that week, a delegation from the village council arrived at his doorstep. They offered Marcus financial aid, a gesture of shared burden and respect. But Marcus, with a courteous smile, declined. He thanked them for their kindness, but explained that relying on others' generosity would weaken his resolve. He would rebuild, brick by painstaking brick, on his own terms. This wasn't about pride. It was about proving to himself, and perhaps to the world, that his spirit wouldn't be broken by a single blow. As the days turned into weeks, Marcus threw himself into the work of renewal. He pruned the dead vines, nurtured the few survivors back to health, and started the laborious process of replanting. His back ached, his hands blistered, but his heart remained steady. He found a strange kind of solace in the rhythm of labor, a quiet defiance against the forces that had tried to bend him. He wasn't seeking pity or admiration. He was simply living by his own code, a code forged in the fires of Stoic philosophy and his own unwavering spirit. 5. Mindless busyness. In a quaint village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush greenery, there lived a man named Alexios. He was a disciple of Stoicism, finding wisdom in the teachings of ancient philosophers. Despite the fast-paced nature of the modern world, Alexios remained steadfast in his commitment to intentional living. While those around him often succumbed to the allure of mindless busyness, constantly chasing after fleeting pleasures and superficial distractions, Alexios chose a different path. He understood that true fulfillment could only be found by prioritizing meaningful activities over the relentless pursuit of productivity for its own sake. Alexios approached each day with a sense of purpose and clarity, carefully considering how he could best allocate his time and energy towards pursuits that aligned with his values and goals. While others rushed through life in a perpetual state of frenzy, Alexios took the time to savor each moment, finding beauty in the simple pleasures of everyday existence. Whether it was tending to his garden, engaging in meaningful conversations with loved ones, or immersing himself in the wonders of nature, Alexios found joy in the present moment, free from the constraints of mindless busyness. Through his deliberate approach to living, Alexios became a source of inspiration for those around him. His calm demeanor and unwavering focus served as a reminder that true happiness could not be found in the accumulation of possessions or the relentless pursuit of external validation. Instead, it lay in the cultivation of inner peace and contentment, forged through a commitment to living with intention and purpose. Alexios shared his insights with others, gently encouraging them to reassess their priorities and embrace a more mindful way of life. As the seasons changed and the years passed by, Alexios continued on his journey, guided by the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. He understood that life was fleeting and precious, and that each moment was a gift to be savored and cherished. And so, he lived each day with gratitude and humility, finding fulfillment in the knowledge that he was living in alignment with his truest self. Alexius's story serves as a testament to the power of intentional living, and as a reminder that true happiness can only be found by prioritizing meaningful activities over mindless busyness. 6. Perfectionism. The rhythmic clang of Caius Aurelius's hammer echoed through the dusty forge, a familiar symphony that had soundtracked his life since childhood. Unlike the carefree clanging of his early years, however, each strike now held a weight of expectation, a relentless pursuit of perfection that mirrored the flames licking the belly of the furnace. Caius dreamt of becoming the village's most renowned blacksmith, his name whispered with reverence for generations to come. Every horseshoe emerged from his calloused hands, meticulously shaped, a testament to his relentless pursuit of flawless form. Every sword gleamed with an almost unreal perfection, the result of countless hours spent hunched over the anvil, sweat dripping from his brow like molten metal. But this relentless pursuit began to take its toll. Sleep became a thief in the night, stealing precious moments from his relentless toil. Meals were hurried affairs, sustenance for a body that ached with the strain of constant exertion. The joy of creation, once a vibrant flame, had morphed into a suffocating pressure. Perfection, once a noble aspiration, became a cruel taskmaster, its shadow looming large over every clang of the hammer, every hiss of the quench. One sweltering afternoon, as Caius meticulously polished a newly forged broadsword, a single, hairline crack appeared on its gleaming surface. Disappointment, a bitter and unwelcome guest, flooded his gut. Hours of meticulous work, the unwavering focus, the searing heat, all rendered seemingly meaningless by this single, seemingly insignificant flaw. In a fit of frustration that echoed the roar of the furnace, he flung the sword into the quenching vat, the hiss of hot metal meeting cold water a chilling counterpoint to his simmering anger. Later that day, his grandfather, a weathered man with hands gnarled like ancient tree roots from years of wielding the hammer, entered the forge. He surveyed the scene with a knowing gaze, the discarded sword glinting accusingly on the workbench. The silence stretched, heavy with the weight of Caius's disappointment. Finally, his grandfather, without a word, picked up a well-worn hammer and began shaping a simple horseshoe. His movements were slow and deliberate, yet imbued with a quiet confidence born of years of experience. When the horseshoe was complete, it was far from perfect. Its edges weren't flawlessly smooth, and the curve wasn't a perfect circle. Yet, it was strong, the metal expertly forged to withstand the wear and tear of daily use. As Caius watched, his grandfather placed a calloused hand on his shoulder. The touch, worn yet comforting, seemed to ground Caius, to draw him back from the precipice of his self-inflicted despair. Perfection is a fleeting dream, Caius, his voice rumbled, seasoned with the wisdom of countless sunrises and sunsets spent at the forge. Strive for excellence, but accept that there will always be imperfections. It is the strength of the metal, not its flawless sheen, that truly matters. Caius's gaze flickered between the discarded sword and the simple horseshoe. His grandfather's words struck a chord deep within him, resonating with a truth he'd somehow lost sight of in his relentless pursuit of the impossible. He realized that his blind ambition had led him astray, transforming the joy of creation into a soul-crushing burden. The pursuit of perfection had become a prison, his own self-imposed shackles. From that day on, Casas' approach to his work shifted. He continued to strive for excellence, his dedication to his craft unwavering. Yet, he also learned to embrace the inherent imperfections that arose from the human hand, the inevitable consequence of creation itself. He found a new joy in the process of creation, the rhythm of the forge a comforting melody accompanying his work. His creations, while not flawless, were imbued with a quiet strength and a unique beauty that came from the acceptance of their imperfections. And as his reputation grew, it wasn't for the supposed flawlessness of his work, but for its enduring quality and the dedication of the man who created it, a man who had learned the true meaning of excellence, the pursuit of mastery, not the tyranny of perfection. 7. Negative self-talk. Nestled in the serene embrace of the countryside, Elias found sanctuary amidst the whispers of the wind and the rustle of leaves. Amidst the tranquil beauty of nature, he sought refuge from the relentless onslaught of negative self-talk that plagued so many minds. Elias knew firsthand the crippling weight of an inner critic, but he refused to let it shackle his spirit. Instead, he turned to the teachings of Stoicism, weaving a tapestry of self-compassion that gently silenced the cacophony of doubt and insecurity. Each new day dawned with a quiet resolve for Elias, a commitment to embrace the present moment and the incremental strides towards self-betterment. While others stumbled beneath the weight of self-doubt, he chose to view himself through a lens of kindness and understanding. Elias understood that the journey towards growth was not a straight path, but a winding road, with each twist and turn offering its own lesson in resilience and fortitude. In the gentle rhythm of his daily life, Elias became a guiding light for those lost in the darkness of their own self-criticism. With words of encouragement and gestures of support, he reminded others of their inherent worth and the beauty of their imperfections. Through his actions, Elias showed that liberation from negative self-talk was not only possible but necessary for a life imbued with compassion and authenticity. Seasons changed, and time marched on, but Elias remained steadfast in his dedication to the principles of Stoicism. He understood that self-compassion was not a destination, but a journey, a daily practice of nurturing kindness and understanding towards oneself and others. And so, he lived each day with an open heart and a gentle soul, knowing that true progress could only be achieved by embracing the inherent dignity of every being. Ultimately, Aurelius' story stands as a testament to the transformative power of self-compassion and the resilience of the human spirit. Through his example, he illuminated the path towards personal growth and authenticity, showing that strength lies not in perfection, but in vulnerability. As his journey continues, Elias serves as a beacon of hope, a reminder of the boundless potential that lies within each and every one of us, waiting to be awakened with a simple act of kindness towards ourselves. 8. Unhelpful comparisons. Marcus, a young blacksmith, stared disconsolately at his dented helmet. He'd poured his heart into crafting it, but compared to the gleaming, intricate armor displayed in the market, his work felt dull and ordinary. Discouragement gnawed at him. "Perhaps I'll never be a Quintus," he sighed, referencing the renowned master blacksmith whose work was the envy of the city. An old man, his beard dusted with forged cinders, approached. He was Zeno, a retired Stoic philosopher who often visited Marcus's shop. Sensing the young man's dejection, Zeno asked, "What troubles you, Marcus?" Marcus recounted his visit to the market, his voice heavy with envy. Zeno chuckled, "My friend, comparing your sunrise to someone else's midday sun brings only shadows. You are on your own journey, not theirs." Intrigued, Marcus listened as Zeno explained the Stoic concept of focusing on what you can control, your efforts, your skills, your attitude. Envy towards others steals your joy and clouds your own path, Zeno said. Instead, be your own competitor. Strive to improve each day, to learn from your mistakes, to create the best work you can with the skills you possess. Remember, even the greatest oak started as a humble acorn. Inspired, Marcus examined his helmet. He saw not its imperfections, but the countless hours of practice that went into its creation. He envisioned the dented section not as a flaw, but as a challenge to overcome in his next piece. With newfound determination, Marcus rekindled the forge, the rhythmic clang of his hammer a testament to his renewed focus. Days turned into weeks, and Marcus's work steadily improved. He stopped comparing himself to others and found satisfaction in the process of creation. He learned from his failures, celebrating each small victory. One day, a simple farrier entered his shop, needing a replacement horseshoe for his aging workhorse. Marcus, with the patience honed by his newfound focus, meticulously crafted a sturdy shoe, ensuring it would perfectly cradle the worn hoof. The farrier, impressed by Marcus's attention to detail and genuine care, left with a smile and a tale to share at the local tavern. Word of Marcus's skill spread slowly, but surely. Soon, he wasn't just crafting horseshoes, but repairing the armor of city guards and even creating custom pieces for aspiring knights. He never forgot Zeno's words, and while he admired the work of other masters, he never let it diminish the pride he felt in his own creations. His reputation grew, not because he sought to outshine others, but because he poured his heart and soul into every piece, focusing on his own journey of becoming the best blacksmith he could be. And on a bright summer morning, a familiar figure entered his shop, Quintus, the master blacksmith himself. He had come, not to compare, but to commend Marcus's talent and offer him a place as his apprentice. A testament to the fact that true success comes not from chasing the shadows of others, but from embracing your own path and letting your light shine. 9. Mindless social media use. And now, we will talk about Alia, a talented weaver from Ostia Antica. Couldn't help but be captivated by the allure of the new Reflections tablets, replacing the age-old scrolls of wisdom with images of seemingly flawless lives. With each swipe, she found herself immersed in a world of opulent villas, exotic adventures, and impeccable attire, feeling a twinge of envy creeping in as her own humble workshop and handcrafted tapestries paled in comparison. One afternoon, as she was lost in the depths of envy-inducing posts, Alia felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. It was Seneca, the Stoic philosopher who frequented her shop, his beard speckled with threads from their discussions. "Alia," he began softly, "what weighs on your mind?" Reluctantly, she confessed her discontent fueled by the perfection displayed on Reflections. Listening patiently, Seneca offered his wisdom. "My dear Alia," he said, "these tablets offer but glimpses, carefully crafted to showcase an idealized reality. They're akin to paintings, showing only the sunlit facade of a building, hiding the cracks and imperfections within." He urged her to focus on what she could control, her craft, her mindset, her contentment. Comparing your entire life to someone else's highlight reel only leads to misery, he advised. True fulfillment lies in mastering your craft, finding joy in creation, and appreciating the simple beauty around you. Reflecting on Seneca's words, Alia realized she had been neglecting her true passion, lured by the illusion of unattainable perfection. With a sense of remorse, She set aside the tablet and returned to her loom. As her fingers danced across the threads, weaving intricate patterns, a sense of tranquility washed over her. The rhythmic clack of the shuttle became a soothing rhythm, the scent of wool a comforting embrace. She found beauty in the imperfections of the natural fibers, reveling in their subtle variations of color. Days turned into weeks, and Aaliyah's love for weaving reignited. No longer consumed by comparison, she focused on her craft, refining her skills and experimenting with new techniques. Her tapestries, infused with depth and authenticity, garnered admiration from patrons who appreciated the artistry and soul woven into each piece. Aaliyah realized that true satisfaction stemmed not from external validation, but from the intrinsic joy of creation and the mastery of her craft. She continued to weave, not to compete with the fleeting images on Reflections, but to express her unique vision, one thread at a time. 10. Holding grudges. Let's discover the tale of Callias, a man burdened by the weight of resentment in the ancient city of Athens. 4 years, he clung to a grudge against his neighbor, Demetrius, who had wronged him in a business deal gone sour. Callias's heart simmered with bitterness, trapping him in a cycle of anger and resentment, robbing him of peace and contentment. One fateful day, Callias crossed paths with Epictetus, a wise Stoic philosopher renowned for his insight into the human condition. Sensing the turmoil within Callias, Epictetus gently probed the source of his distress. Hesitant at first, Callias poured out his grievances, recounting the betrayal that had fueled his resentment towards Demetrius. With patience and compassion, Epictetus offered his wisdom, rooted in the timeless teachings of Stoicism. Callias, he began, holding on to resentment is akin to carrying a burden that weighs heavily upon your soul. It shackles you to the past, preventing you from embracing the present moment and living with true freedom. By releasing the grip of bitterness, you reclaim control over your own well-being. Moved by Epictetus's words, Callias embarked on a journey of inner reflection and self-discovery. He realized that clinging to grudges only perpetuated his suffering, imprisoning him in a state of perpetual discontent. With newfound determination, Callias made the courageous decision to relinquish the chains of resentment that bound him, setting himself free from the shackles of the past. As days turned into weeks, Callias practiced the art of forgiveness, consciously letting go of the bitterness that had consumed him. With each act of forgiveness, he felt a sense of liberation wash over him, replacing the heaviness in his heart with a newfound lightness of being. Rather than dwelling on past injustices, Callias focused his energy on cultivating compassion and understanding, both for himself and for others. In time, Callias discovered that by releasing resentment, he created space for joy, gratitude, and forgiveness to flourish within his heart. He learned that forgiveness was not a sign of weakness, but rather a testament to his strength and resilience. And as he walked the path of Stoicism, Callias embraced the transformative power of forgiveness, finding solace in the knowledge that true freedom lies in letting go of the past and embracing the beauty of the present moment. 11. Neglecting relationships. You may already hear about the Stoic story of Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled a vast empire, found solace in philosophy. But have you heard of Casas, a young gladiator in the Colosseum? Casas was known for his unmatched skill and stoic demeanor. Every battle was a calculated dance of strength and strategy, each victory met with a stoic nod. Yet, beneath his unwavering facade, a loneliness gnawed at him. Focused solely on honing his combat prowess, Casas had neglected the friendships that once filled his life. Training partners became rivals, camaraderie evaporated into competition. The cheers of the crowd, once a source of adrenaline, now felt hollow and distant. One evening, after a particularly brutal victory, Casas found himself seeking solace in the quiet corner of a tavern frequented by philosophers. There, he sat across from Seneca, a renowned Stoic thinker. With a heavy heart, Casas confessed his loneliness, attributing it to the harsh realities of his profession. Seneca listened patiently, then spoke with a voice seasoned by experience. "Casas," he began, "humans are social creatures. We thrive in the bonds we forge with others. Your dedication to your craft is admirable, but neglecting these connections creates a void no victory can fill." He explained the Stoic concept of arete, which encompassed not just personal excellence, but virtue in all aspects of life, including relationships. True fulfillment comes from growth, from perfecting your skills, but also from nurturing the bonds that enrich your life, he urged. Casas's eyes opened to a truth he'd been ignoring. He had become a lone wolf, isolated by his relentless pursuit of victory. Shamefaced, he began by reaching out to his former training partner, a man he'd considered a rival for years. They shared a meal, laughter replacing the tension of past battles. He made an effort to connect with fellow gladiators, finding camaraderie and support amongst those who understood the weight he carried. Days turned into weeks, and the Colosseum training grounds resonated with a new energy. Encouragement replaced taunts as gladiators trained together, pushing each other to improve. Casas organized gatherings outside the arena, sharing stories and laughter under the stars. With each rekindled connection, Casas felt a sense of belonging he hadn't known before. Casas's life transformed. He no longer saw his career as a solitary path towards glory. Instead, it became a shared journey, a way to connect with others, a test of not just physical prowess, but also of the strength of his relationships. He understood that true happiness wasn't found in the roar of the crowd or the thrill of victory, but in the richness of human connection. One shared meal, one supportive word, one heartfelt conversation at a time. Ditching these things from your life doesn't require a dramatic announcement or a public bonfire of negativity. It's a subtle revolution, a series of whispers to yourself that turn into roars over time. It's about making small, consistent choices that ripple outwards, creating a life that feels more authentic and fulfilling with each passing day. Imagine waking up each morning with a renewed sense of purpose, the weight of mental clutter and emotional burdens lifted from your shoulders. Imagine being surrounded by positive influences who uplift and support you, and by activities that spark genuine joy. This, my friends, is the transformative power of quiet elimination. Imagine waking up each morning with a renewed sense of purpose, the weight of mental clutter and emotional burdens lifted from your shoulders. Imagine being surrounded by positive influences who uplift and support you, and by activities that spark genuine joy. This, my friends, is the transformative power of quiet elimination. This journey is yours, and yours alone. There's no pre-written script, no one-size-fits-all approach. Listen to the whispers of your intuition, experiment, and don't be afraid to tweak and adjust as you go. You might be surprised by the strength you discover when you let go of negativity, or the wellspring of creativity that bursts forth when you stop comparing yourself to the highlight reels of others' lives. Embrace the newfound freedom that comes with prioritizing your well-being and focusing on what truly matters to you. Remember, This path of quiet elimination isn't a race to some distant finish line marked perfection. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, one mindful choice at a time. Savor the small victories, the moments where you choose self-care over self-criticism, or connection over mindless scrolling. Celebrate your progress, no matter how incremental it may seem. Trust that with each step you take, you're building a life that's uniquely yours, a life brimming with authenticity, purpose, and the quiet joy that comes from living with intention. So, take a deep breath, quiet the noise, and embark on this journey of quiet elimination. You deserve a life that feels truly good, from the inside out.